Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to welcome you to the premiere, the best, the baddest, and the newest, because literally the show just aired yesterday. So I don't know if anybody else has done this, but I think I'm the first one to do the breakdown. So literally, I think I'm first. I think I did it. Official TS Madison breakdown and discussion. Literally, I am so excited. I haven't heard of anybody else breaking this down, and immediately I was like, how is no one talking about this show? How is no one talking about this show? Because, like, T.S. Madison is an icon. Like, an icon. For me, when I think about trailblazers, she is one of the first people I think of. So what we're going to be doing with every episode is we are not only going to be breaking down what happened in each episode, what we're gagging over, what we're loving, who we're connecting with on the screen, but we're also going to be breaking down everything through a lens of Black queerness and Black transness, because this for me is one of those moments where Black trans people get to just live their life authentically, and it is one of those moments where, like, we're not asked to define ourselves or break ourselves down, or like, here's a guidebook to who we are. Kind of like very having to explain ourselves and not actually getting to live our lives. And this show, in my opinion, where's the Emmys? It deserves all the Emmys already from just episode 1, okay? But we're gonna dive into exactly why. Let's get into it. So the show starts off with T.S. Madison breaking down how we met her, where she came from, and her roots in YouTube. But as well, on top of it, we get to watch her talk about where she came from as a Black trans woman in the South. We only get a taste, but in the promo at the end of the episode, we get to see that, like, she's going to be going back to her home in Florida and where she grew up and everything. So I'm assuming that, like, they only wanted to give us a teaser of it because they're going to dig deeper into it, which I'm, like, very excited about. I do have to just say, based off of literally just the opening, having a proud Black trans woman stand up there and talk about how it was not easy for her in the South as a Black trans woman. Already, thank you. You already did it for the community. You already did it. Like, already, thank you. Because it already told me that this is what you're digging into in this series. Like, you're talking about the glamorousness, you're talking about the fabulousness and the shine and the come up. But as a Black trans woman, I was like, thank you so much. Like, this is why I love you, T.S. This is why I love you. Because she is, like, for me, I can never, ever, 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 ever compare another entertainer to T.S. Because in my opinion, no one has captivated people's attention for longer based off of nothing more than literally just her behavior than T.S. Madison. Like, T.S. Madison, in my opinion, is running game on everybody. Like, she is just, give me my money, give me my money. Like, I will happily throw it. So, on top of it, she talks about her dream of being the first Black trans talk show host, which, like, again ties back into what I said before. Is like, I am so excited to be hearing about, like, Black trans people talking about their dreams, talking about their aspirations, talking about the goals that they're about to achieve. I'm like, yes, yes, you are already, like, a role model for every single person in this country. And to see her really accomplishing that goal was like, bitch, you better work. And then this is when we get to the point where we get to see T.S. Madison in New York FaceTiming each other. And in this, you get to find out that, like, T.S. is inviting her to come on as, like, a permanent co-host to the Queen Supreme Court. Which, if we all know, there was the whole clip that recently resurfaced of New York and spewing very transphobic words and hateful speech. The thing that I'm most intrigued about into her involvement is whether this will be a part of the show at all. So I'm not sure if they're going to bring it up or not, but I feel like it's one of those topics that I'm like, I want to hear what, like, I want this to be a topic of discussion. But I'm pretty sure that probably it will be. Yeah, I feel like it'll probably have to come up in, like, if not in the show, it'll definitely come up in discussions afterwards, because I'm watching this in the hopes of seeing her dealing with this. Because I don't want this to be the arc of this show. This isn't about, like, New York. But I do think that specifically with it being transphobic things that she said, and specifically her being on this show of, like, a Black trans woman, it's one where, like, she, I think, will have to at least talk about this. Like, it's gonna have to be a thing that you take accountability for. I can't. So, also got my notes too. If you see my phone, it's just my notes. I got my notes. I'm reading it. Yeah. But before all of the transphobic comments, Tiffany Pollard was my bitch. Like, literally, when I tell you I love New York, I grew up on it, all of it. And so I'm I'm rooting for New York. Like, I want the accountability to be taken. I want steps to be taken. I want growth. I don't remember seeing a resolution or like what ended up happening. So I'm gonna do some research and get back to you on that on the next episode. But I was like, oh my God, I forgot she's a part of it. As well, you know your girl was on Twitter too. You gotta follow. If you're not following the hashtags on Twitter while you watch reality TV, it's only half the story. Because remember that like reality TV is when we're like, these people got time to sit here and do this. Any other TV show, like if it's a scripted show, ain't nobody sitting there with you and like responding. No, like these people are watching their lives back for the first time. So they're always on Twitter. So get on Twitter. I guarantee you the story will always be better. Also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm Mint Jr. That it's Mint with 2 T's because of copyright, you know. Same thing for all my social media. It's either Junior Mint with 2 T's or Mint Junior with 2 T's, you know. I'll put it in the description. It should come up like here or something. I don't know. If my editing skills have gotten good, you'll see it come up down here. But if not, check the description box. That's how you can really know. Okay. And then in the next scene, we get to learn about the first person who she works with and collaborates with and who is honestly her employee. I love saying that. I love that this black woman is up here just being like, these are my employees who we create this amazing art, but they're also my family, my friends, my loved ones, and my collaborators, you know? And for me, again, rooted back to black transness, our community is so communal. We don't have any other guarantees from anybody else that we will be protected. So we know that we need to protect ourselves. And that's part of the thing that I loved is that the whole time, you never would have thought that these people had like a working relationship. Like, you know what I mean? It just felt so familial. But in the basement, we get to meet Oliver, the stage manager. And when I tell you, I'm living for the energy. I already just want to have a shot with him. He seems like the sweetest person. I love the gray streak. I love the gray streak. I love the hair. Everything about him is giving me boss bitch energy. Like, I run things. I got this. Like, I can handle this. Let's have a kiki. Let's have a laugh. Okay, let me get this work done. Like, I love that energy because it reminded me of so many people that I like went to theater school with who I really connected with. Like the stage managers who were like handling all the business, handling this money, handling everyone's schedules, doing all these things, but still has time for a laugh and a kiki, but then gets back to the gig. You know what I mean? And I loved it. The personality you could feel through the screen, and on top of it, you could feel the love that he had for TS. Like, you felt the love that he was like, I am truly here to not only like, you know, expand my skills, get my money, do all the things for me, but I'm here because I love TS. Like, she's my family, she's my friend. I love that. And then we get to meet Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi, I am obsessed with. Because Chi-Chi, for me, reminds me of every single person I went to school with in high school. Chi-Chi was giving me that energy of like, I'm that bitch, but like, you know I'm that bitch, so I don't need to tell you I'm that bitch. And then when you hear the story of how TS came into her life, I was like, this is the embodiment of what our community does. You don't got a family, bitch? I'm your family. And for me, I always sit and I watch those type of things and I'm like, this is my community. And then I think about people who flip to WeTv because, you know, they're like, you know, I love watching Life After Lockup, or I love watching Growing Up Hip Hop or something. And they flip on this and they sit here and they realize that like, there is a community out there that literally is forming families. Like, there's a community out there that they have no idea about. And that's what touches my heart, is that there's some guy named Steve in Minnesota who flipped past TS Madison's show, stayed on it, and then learned some shit today. You know? That's what warms my heart. Because this is TS's life. Because TS is about this life. She's about living her life authentically, being who she is, and holding herself down. She doesn't need to try. She's not putting on. She's not like, she didn't need to go out and find these people and cast them as her family and her friends. No, she's been doing this the whole time, and that's why I'll be watching this until the day I die. As well, we get to meet Craig. And when we meet Craig, I was like, ooh, Craig got a very specific energy about him. Craig rolled in like Craig got 15 different jobs, and it's just like, okay, I love y'all, and I'm here for this gig. Like, I wasn't mad at Craig. I was just like, you know you could have been there early. You could have helped. You know you could have. But also, I like that when they're holding Craig accountable, it's with love. Like, real love. Really holding someone accountable. Like, I needed you here. Like, could you do this? Like, accountability. But actually treating someone like a human being. And then with all the technical difficulties happen, I loved getting to see them working in a stressful situation. And I love that everyone was not only themselves, but also still supporting each other. You know what I mean? It was the beauty of like TS Madison having to let out a scream, you know what I mean, in front of a live audience, but also like she's still running the show, still just as professional, like still a boss, lets out a scream because the internet is down, like her live show is down. But the kiki of it was when it kept going down and I was like, this is good TV. This is good TV. The fact that they have this on camera, because it showed how strong of a team they were. Watching the whole thing, I was like, that is the most well-oiled machine. Literally, we're having internet issues. It would probably be better for us to just record it, not have it be live, and then we'll like issue an apology and everything. Keep the live studio audience going. Someone's doing this thing. Someone's getting the cameras together. Someone's working on this. It showed them as a team, and it was so amazing because I was like, this is a well-oiled fucking machine. And when I tell you, the biggest gag afterwards, when she walks up the stairs, and the whole time, you're in her basement. If that's not a boss move, your studio is your basement where you can even have your own studio audience. It was like, she gave me goals. She gave me goals. Like, I'm like, that's actually genius. And on top of it, the next best thing is waiting right up the stairs for her. Her mama with food. Tell me you don't want your mama with food sitting right up the stairs as soon as you finish work. To see them decompressing, coming down from like having to work, and you see them coming back into their like familial, friendly energy, and it was just so like mesmerizing to watch because every other reality TV show is based off of creating tension around these things. It's built off of, oh, these people hate each other and they work together, but they still are friends and so they have to exist. This one is not at all about. This is literally about, oh, we're navigating this work and this like art and all of the things that we want to accomplish together while supporting each other. And that's why I keep repeating so deeply how it's amazing, because it's like, I love reality TV. I love it. I came from watching Bravo. I watch Real Housewives. I watch all of the competition shows, all of these different reality TV shows that are all based off of creating tension and anger around people, instead of what this show is doing, which is literally like, okay, how do we have to grow? Okay, let's see how we can get to grow. What missteps are happening in our path to growing into better people, better co-workers, better family, friends, loved ones, you know? Oh, how could I forget? The co-host for that episode is Sophia. Seeing Sophia there was one of those things where I was like, I'm so happy you're involved in this equation. I am so happy that you were involved in this equation, because she added a whole like classic drag level of performance, because drag is literally just a performance. Just a performance of gender. We're doing it right now. You're doing it whether you think you are or you're not. It's a performance. So I'm a black trans woman. Drag is what I do as a job. Trans is who I am. So hearing Madison actually sit there and say, like, when referring to RuPaul and the Drag Race live show inspiring her, but I absolutely love the fact that there was like this traditional drag queen there next to TS Madison doing her drag performance. It was like, yes. When Sophia was taking off her makeup and slowly de-dragging, and they started to talk about her as Jo, and they were like, oh, is that Jo or is that Sophia? Is that Jo? It was so refreshing to see. I felt so represented. The fact that TS is sitting here and there's a drag queen over there and someone is having to learn the difference between transness and doing drag, and that they are not at all equivalent or the same thing. In the next scene, we get to see Maddie and her mom getting fan mail. It was the most adorable moment, and it was so heartwarming for me, because seeing TS interact with her mom and trying on the dress that like it's too much for her mom, like, please don't wear that with me. But at the same time, the love and like, you know, like embracing exactly who your child is while the child is also embracing exactly who the mother is, and just loving each other and supporting each other and who you are. It was like, it was so heartwarming, and I can't even put it into words how much it meant to me, because I know it meant a lot to a lot of trans people watching it. To see her mom get that letter saying from another parent what it meant for her mom to be in the spotlight as well. It was like, it it was one of those things that made me so happy because it reminds everybody that your representation matters. Your representation matters. You being heard, you showing yourself for all of the allyship, the love, the support that you give, all the love and the support that you give, that is amazing. And it will empower another person to change the way that they think too. And then we get to meet Legra. Now, I think Legra is probably my favorite person because I think me and her would be the best of friends because I just love her boss energy. I feel like I've said boss a lot, but if anybody's the boss, it's like TS and Legra, because Legra in that clip where she was just like, I may be the business manager, but one thing I am not is a secretary, I was like, that's me. That's how you clear a bitch. Like, that was it. I was floored. I was so thankful that Legra was like in it because I was like, you're giving me the energy I need. You're giving me the energy I need. And I connected with that character. I really connected with that character. And also, when it comes to Craig and Legra talking about looking for a space, I really love the conversation that they had because both of the conversations that they were the conversation they were having with each other was a conversation that was, at the end of the day, rooted in supporting TS Madison. Like, it was about, like, basically, this is what the best next steps for us should be. And Craig was just coming from a point of like, well, we need to follow the money and make sure that we are still having a stream of income coming in, otherwise no one gets paid. But Legra was basically like, yes, that's fine, but like, it doesn't make a difference what we're doing if TS is not happy with what we're doing, and this is what she wants to do. And I love that it was seeing two different perspectives of people who care about TS, care about the organization, care about what they're creating, and are talking about it in a helpful, uplifting way that is actually like just two sides of the same coin. And again, I say it because every other reality show would have them yelling in the car, pitting themselves against each other, making them seem like one of them doesn't care enough about TS, when it's like, no, they're on the same team. They just have different ideas of what is going to be the next best step for the team. And I love that. And the next scene gave me life because I can personally attest, as like being black and from the South, every black family, especially black women, have their own lexicon of words. And my own mom has her own dictionary of words that's like, only I would actually know what you're asking for if you yelled it to anybody. If it was like, hey, could you pass me the wussin-a-jiggison? That's a literal word my mom says, a wussin-a-jiggison. Don't ask me, but usually when she says it, I'm pretty sure what she's talking about. It's usually just like the last two things she's picked up that she forgot to carry with her. And so it's like, everybody got their own language, especially black women from the South. I don't know what it is. So when the mom started going off on a bunch of words and she says it her own way, I was like, I love that. The next scene is probably the pinnacle scene of the whole episode, in my opinion. It was kind of the moment that I felt like was most needed in the whole series. I didn't know when it was going to happen. I'm glad it happened in the first episode. But it was the conversation with Miss Mary about TS's transness and what it was like processing that relationship and growing in that relationship. And it was one of the most nuanced conversations around trans I've ever seen on TV. I think TS said one of the things that I had to write down and it stuck with me was when Miss Mary was saying that she got hurt too in it, and TS said, but who was more important in that situation? Who was the person who deserved more attention in that situation? Your pain or mine? And that was something that just hit home so hard, and it put so much of how I felt into like one little quote. And I think that it's so important also to talk about at the end of that conversation when Miss Mary was saying that like, I gave birth to a son, but I gained a daughter. I love that TS's response was, I was a butterfly and I was in my cocoon, because it's one of those very difficult things to navigate, especially as a black trans woman. Like, there's something about the black culture and the way we have to be raised just because we're in danger of dying every single day, so our parents usually don't have the leeway to just like fun and joy and giggles and stuff. And so there's like a very rigid way of thinking that comes from our parents that I find. And I can't speak for everybody's parents, this is just mine, but like these are just things that I've seen from conversations with my own black friends. And it's like a very rigid way of thinking, and for me it's one where like they have a hard time letting go of like, I gave birth to a son. And I love that she didn't deny what her mom said, but she she stated her own existence and what actually happened. And she didn't allow what her mom said to be what is defining of her experience and what is actually happening. Because it's a fine line to walk in terms of being loving to your parent while also standing your ground, because I navigate it every day. And it is something that makes me very happy at the fact that I saw it and I was like, the fact that it ended with her getting to state her truth. And then Chi-Chi and Oliver, after she said that, was like, yes, yes, and helped to lift the spirit and the energy in the space, which in my opinion, I was sitting there, I was like, that's family. That's a loved one. That's family right there. Because at some point the conversation can't go any further because it's just talking about two different perspectives, and it's like a meeting ground, which is absolutely beautiful, but like they're not going to have a breakthrough moment in this conversation. This isn't going to be the one. And so to see them lift the spirit is like, I love the active bystander moment of like, oh, I'm going to raise the spirit, and as well reinforce to my friend who knows that like to her mom she may have been born a son, but to me, like, she was not, like, if someone asked me, I was never born a son, I came out a daughter. People just made an assumption because of some genitalia. And so for me, I always see that and I'm like, I would want my friend standing next to me being like, yes, you're right about that. You were just in a cocoon, yes. And then the next scene, we get to us finding out that this was filmed literally building up to the COVID pandemic. And as soon as I saw the studio audience, I was like, okay, so this can't be like during the pandemic and everything, because literally this would not be safe. And so I was like, okay, maybe the whole season was filmed before it. But when the COVID moment came, I was like, I'm even more interested now, because adding in the whole COVID perspective adds a level to me of, I found out how prepared Black trans people are for a pandemic, for any form of like emergency, because we never have security in life. We never have any form of social security. We never have any form of security. We're never guaranteed housing. We're never guaranteed employment. All of those things can be taken away just because of who we are. And so for me, it's something that I didn't realize that I had all the tools to thrive until the pandemic happened. And then I was like, oh wow, I've always been living anxious because literally I've had to. And so I'm excited to see how Madison literally turns this into an opportunity for her. But when that scene happened, I loved Miss Mary. I loved Miss Mary. The look that she gave to Chi-Chi of like, don't bring it home to me. I don't care what you do, but don't bring it home to me. What you won't be doing. And the seriousness in her tone of like, no, like, this is serious. What you won't do is take this thing as a joke and risk my life. And I loved, TS Madison asked her mom to leave to talk to Chi-Chi, because it was one of those things where I was like, ugh. In reality TV, consistently, what like will happen is they'll try to make it a whole group fight moment of like, two people gang up on this person who thinks differently from you or is doing something differently, instead of like, let's have a conversation about this. Let's get on the same grounds. And I loved the fact that it was like, let's sit down and chat about this. This is real. You can't be going out here just partying, dancing and stuff. This is serious. It was like, thank you. Thank you. And it was that loving sit down that like can get through to a person rather than yelling at a person. And for me, I think that T.S. Madison with this whole show is showing us healthy techniques to coping. Like, okay, this thing is going down, but like, life needs to change. It's a pandemic. Our lives can't stay what they were before unless you plan on losing that life, okay? And I think she said it best, honestly, with the quote, you need to get your shit together. I was like, bitch, that's how you tell them. And that's this episode. And I'm just completely gobsmacked, excited, so ready for the rest of the season. I'm watching every single one. Literally, I'm so excited for these reviews. I'm so excited to break it down with you. And I'm going to be going more in depth as we get deeper into it, because as we get to know them more and more, I'm pretty sure they're going to be telling us more and more about being queer, being trans and things. And so I'm going to be going in depth when those topics come up. But yeah, this all around is about shouting out and loving on these amazing, talented people in our community. These Black queer, Black trans, Black people who are thriving, who are doing the damn thing and succeeding and blazing a trail for everybody. Because she's made an opportunity now for me to possibly get my own reality show one day, okay? Because she is the first Black trans person to ever produce their own TV show, okay? Give it up for T.S. Madison. I'm so proud of her. Thank you, T.S., for creating this. It is it is a monument to how far Black trans people have come, but on top of it, how far we still got to go, okay? Because this show has opened so many doors with just this one episode, and I can't wait to see the rest of them that they open. So that is that on that. We are done with this episode, and I cannot wait to see where we go. Tune in every single fucking Friday, sometimes Saturday. I'm not about to lie. I'm about to be moving soon, so I don't necessarily know if I'm gonna necessarily be able to get it out exactly on Friday, but once I'm all settled in my move, literally, I guarantee you it will always be Friday. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought about this review, what you want to hear more from, what you liked, what you didn't like, how I can grow, what you liked about the show. Tell me everything, because I'm really, really, really excited to get into a discussion with y'all in the comments about what y'all thought about this episode, who you loved, who was calling to you, what's exciting. And so thank you for watching. I love you. Mwah. Thank you so much. That is that on all of that.